Manchester United had been riding a wave of promise. 3 straight wins against Sunderland, Liverpool, and Brighton had rekindled belief among the fans. There was even talk of climbing to second place in the Premier League table if they could beat Nottingham Forest. It was the kind of motivation that fuels every great team. But their trip to City Ground ended in frustration. A 2-2 draw that felt like 2 points lost rather than 1 gained, dropping the Red Devils down to 8th place. Only a single point away from the top 4, yes, but the result was a harsh reminder of just how brutal and unforgiving this league can be. It also exposed a systemic weakness that continues to threaten Ruben Amorim's efforts to bring stability to Old Trafford, a full-blown crisis on the flanks. At the start of the season, United's biggest concern was the midfield, especially Casemiro's form. Thankfully, the Brazilian's timely resurgence eased much of that anxiety. Yet, as one fire was extinguished, another began to burn. This time, the issue lay with the wing-backs, the very backbone of Amorim's 3-4-3 system. Against Nottingham Forest, the Portuguese coach stuck with his inverted wing-back pairing, Diogo Dalot on the left, Amad Diallo on the right. The trio of wins before this game had created an illusion of stability. But against a side as aggressive and disciplined in transition as Forest, the cracks began to show. The technical limitations of both players were exposed, forcing Amorim to act. He substituted Dalot in the 68th minute and admitted afterwards, "If you see Dalot, many times Dalot has the ball with space to make the cross, but he's a right footer. He's always inside without space." The use of inverted wingbacks has a clear tactical purpose. It allows players to cut inside onto their stronger foot to shoot or thread low passes, while also improving ball control in the half space. But that tactical gain comes with a heavy price. With Dalot, right-footed, playing on the left, and Diallo, left-footed, on the right, both naturally drift inward, underlapping instead of overlapping. They prefer to tuck inside rather than stay wide and whip in early crosses. As a result, United's attacks lose width, variation, and unpredictability. Most forward moves collapse towards central or half-space zones, where opponents can easily read and shut them down. And the biggest casualty of this flaw? Benjamin Šeško. Standing at 1.95 meters with a lethal aerial presence, Šeško is a menace inside the box, but only if he's supplied with quality deliveries from the flanks. Without accurate, well-curved and well-timed crosses from Dalot and Diallo, the Slovenian striker becomes isolated, starved of service, and stripped of his greatest weapon. Blaming Šeško after the match would be unfair. A striker can only thrive when the system around him functions properly. In this case, the wingbacks failed to create the kind of chances that suit his strengths, leaving United's attack toothless and disconnected. Now, Amorim's 3-at-the-back system demands wingbacks with immense stamina, tactical discipline, and the ability to balance both attack and defense. Unfortunately, both Dalot and Diallo showed critical weaknesses on those fronts, and it cost United dearly against Forest. For the first goal, Amad Diallo was beaten in an aerial duel by Morgan Gibbs-White. The Ivorian winger, slim and slight, was simply outmuscled. Expecting a player built for flair, pace, and creativity to handle repeated physical defensive duels was always going to be a tactical stretch. The second goal, meanwhile, was on Dalot. Caught out of position on the left alongside Luke Shaw, he left United's penalty area in chaos and disarray, allowing Savona to pounce. For a player who began his career as a fullback, Dalot's lack of decisiveness, standing frozen in such a critical defensive moment, was a costly lapse. In a back-3 system, every defender needs to read danger early and cover space intelligently. Dalot didn't, and Forest made him pay. Amorim now faces an urgent task, finding an immediate fix for his wing-back problem. Sticking with a back-3 system means he needs players who can truly master the dual demands of that role. Solid in defense, sharp in attack. The simplest short-term solution would be to switch Dalot and Diallo back to their natural sides. That alone would instantly improve United's crossing ability. But the defensive issues wouldn't magically disappear. Diallo, for all his flair and agility, still lacks the physicality needed for constant defensive duels. and Dalot, no matter which flank he's on, must learn to stay focused and disciplined when tracking back. A more promising long-term solution lies in the return of Lisandro Martinez. Once the Argentine regains fitness and slots into the left center-back role, it would free up Luke Shaw to push forward as a left wing-back, a position where he truly excelled at Euro 2021 under Gareth Southgate. Shaw brings that rare blend of defensive reliability and pinpoint delivery in attack, the perfect balance Amorim's system desperately needs. But waiting until late November for Martinez's comeback is a risky gamble. In the meantime, Amorim might consider a temporary adjustment, shifting Noussair Mazraoui to the left wing-back role. Though naturally right-footed and more accustomed to playing on the right, Mazraoui has experience operating on the opposite flank for Morocco, mainly because Hakimi owns the right side. Deploying Dalot on the right and Mazraoui on the left could provide a more defensively stable and physically balanced setup, reducing United's vulnerability out wide. Diogo Dalot is facing a storm of criticism. His close connection and rumored family ties with manager Ruben Amorim have raised eyebrows among Manchester United fans, many of whom are questioning why he continues to be trusted despite inconsistent performances. Dalot has survived multiple managerial changes at Old Trafford, which perhaps says as much about his influence in the dressing room as it does about his footballing ability. But the truth is, Dalot has stagnated since joining the club back in 2018. He's not terrible. He still earns call-ups to the Portuguese national team, yet he's been stuck in that frustrating middle ground. Never disastrous, but never truly outstanding. In elite football, standing still is the same as moving backward. It's time for United's hierarchy, and Amorim himself, to seriously consider upgrading that position. Signing top-tier names like Hakimi or Frimpong might be unrealistic, but there are attainable options closer to home. One standout candidate is Crystal Palace's Daniel Munoz, a dynamic and hard-working right wing-back who has quietly become one of the Premier League's most reliable performers. If United are willing to open their wallet this winter, Munoz could be a smart and realistic addition. For Amorim and Manchester United, fixing the midfield was only half the battle. The wing-back crisis has exposed a deeper truth. This squad still lacks balance and quality depth, especially in defense. Amorim finds himself juggling short-term results with the long-term task of rebuilding, patching holes while trying to keep the ship steady. The pressure on the Portuguese manager is mounting. The real question now is whether United can keep their momentum alive until the January window opens, or whether their weakness on the flanks will cost them more precious points in the weeks ahead.